Welcome to weekly Forex forecast from Forex Trading Wizard Academy. This is Forex Wizard, your trading coach. I'll be doing a complete multi-time frame analysis of all the hottest currency pairs, cryptocurrencies and indices that we'll be looking to trade next week. The list is a bit longer as usual, but don't worry, I will put a timestamp in the description area. But I'll suggest you to watch all of them. As you have seen in my previous weekly Forex forecast, most of the pairs did exactly according to the analysis. Now this is the last week of the month. The most volatile week is only last week and the first week of the month. So you're looking to have some great trades. So let's see now how we can find trading opportunity in all those pairs on the list. Before I begin, make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done yet, and also press that bell notification so that you don't miss out any of the update that we are releasing every single day. With that said, let's begin this week's weekly Forex forecast. Okay guys, so let's begin with AUDUSD. Like as usual, like in all our analysis, we'll be looking at first bigger picture, higher time frame, and then we'll jump onto the lower time frame to find the potential trading opportunity. Now let's first of all look at the monthly time frame on Aussie dollar. Now on the monthly perspective, Aussie dollar, if you look at the bigger picture, it is a long-term bearish market. As you can see, monthly perspective, every month the price was creating series of lower high and lower low. Now this current monthly candle, as you can see, this has a bullish momentum initially after this monthly doji. Now the price is facing the monthly resistance zone. Now from that monthly resistance, what we can expect now, AUDUSD, as we have seen, primarily had a bounce. We might see now further drop as this is a long time downtrend. This monthly candle already reached the monthly resistance, now just residing below the monthly long doji. Now we could potentially see further drop on this candle, probably to this monthly neckline of this doji. So looking at weekly time frame, what we see that on the weekly perspective, the price already has created a narrow doji which is just crossed the 20 EMA and then closed back below as a pin bar or a doji. Now if you look at the weekly price action, we see that the price, this is a nice looking resistance that it is respecting. Now with that resistance, now what we could see that AUDUSD, as it has a deceleration, we highly likely that AUDUSD will continue to drop. Now if you look at overall weekly market price action, you see that back to back 4 weeks a rise. The last week we see a deceleration. Now if we take our Fibonacci for this movement on the weekly perspective, we see that the price still did not reach 38.2% Fibonacci level. So with that being said, now we could potentially see that this price at least coming back to this level or this monthly resistance zone that we have discussed. So highly likely that AUDUSD upcoming week will drop. Now looking at the daily time frame, what we have seen that on the daily perspective, AUDUSD already has created a bearish price action here. Initially we have seen a very strong bullish momentum on the daily, but from this resistance that we are talking, as you can see in the past, this zone where there is a strong resistance, there is a strong rejection from this level, and from that level on the daily perspective, AUDUSD is rejecting, creating back-to-back 3 days bearish candle. How we can find then trading opportunity? If you closely look at that, this is the monthly resistance that we are talking about, and also this is the weekly Fibonacci level, and where there is a daily 20 period moving average. So in the upcoming week, what we could see that AUDUSD is going up a little bit for retracement, and then we could see that it is coming back to this level of support. Now on the intraday perspective, what we see that AUDUSD already has created a reversal pattern. First of all, if you closely look at, we see there is a double top formation and then has broken to the downside. With that double top strongly created this nice looking strong bearish price action, and we already secured a profitable trade on this one, as we have seen in our YouTube live. and later what we have seen, the price has gone to that level, had another rejection with a false breakout. So this candle can give us a significant bearish confirmation along this zone. Then how we can trade? As you can see, this is the last candle on the weekend, and what we could see in the new trading week, the price might go up a little bit for a little bit of retracement to the upside. In the new trading week, along this zone, we could find a significant bearish setup on AUDUSD. So as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity along this zone, if we draw this resistance zone, we see the same kind of pattern. We'll consider shorting AUDUSD with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at EURCHF, starting again with the monthly time frame. Now on the monthly perspective, we see that EURCHF, after a long bearish movement on the monthly perspective, now it is trying to go up. The price is creating a bullish price action. This is the monthly candle. As you can see, it has come down and now creating a long wick candle at the bottom, means that buyers are buying in this market. Now looking at the weekly time frame, what we have seen that on the weekly perspective, the price already has created an impulse to the upside. On the weekly, you can see that this is a strong bullish impulse from this level to this zone. Now with that bullish impulse, now we see the price came back down for a deeper retracement. We have seen a significant retracement to the downside. Let's take our Fibonacci for this move from this bottom to the top. We see that EURCHF just at 38.2% Fibonacci level on the weekly has a rejection to the upside. Now this current weekly candle is also a bullish candle. Why? Because if you closely look at, you see this is the impulse, and then the price has created this pattern, which is also a bullish pattern. What we can expect in the new trading week, after a little retracement, we could see that EURCHF is starting to go up, as already the price has created a bullish price action. Looking at the daily time frame, what we have seen that on the daily perspective, EURCHF has created a double top, which is a fake double top, and then has broken down, created this leg to the downside to grab liquidity, which in fact penetrated this previous resistance zone here, turning support, grab the liquidity, and then has crossed up, close back above. Now what we see that EURCHF on the daily time frame is creating an inverted head and shoulder with this red candle, and from that zone we might see that EURCHF is started to rise up. Now if you closely look at, this is the previous resistance zone, which is turning support on EURCHF, and we see that there is a support here and resistance here. The same level may act here as a support, and from this zone we could see a bullish move. If you closely look at, this is the daily chart, there is a daily 20 EMA also coming up. If we readjust this level on this zone, we could potentially see that EURCHF has come down to this test, this 20 EMA, and from this zone highly likely that EURCHF will continue to rise up. Now if you look at intraday perspective on the 4-hour time frame, we have seen already a newly developed uptrend has been created with this double top formation here, reversal, strongly rejected to the upside, penetrated this double bottom with this neckline. This is the previous resistance, which is turning support here. Now with that level, what we see that EURCHF has created a bullish move to the upside. Now it has come for a deeper retracement to this level, where we are expecting EURCHF to drop little further down to test this, probably this 20 EMA, which is aligning with the previous resistance zone, this dotted line, which we have found based on the daily time frame. We can expect the price to have a bullish move from this zone, and as soon as we will find bullish price action along this zone, according to the rules of our strategies, we will consider going long on EURCHF with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at AUDCAD, starting with the monthly time frame. Now on the monthly perspective, we see that AUDCAD long term, it is a bearish market. If you closely look at, you see that every month the price was creating series of lower high and lower low. Now with that bearish price action, if we look at the weekly time frame, what we have seen that AUDCAD primarily on the weekly, there is a strong bullish move happen in the opposite direction of the trend. Now what we see, the price already tested this trend line, long-term resistance on AUDCHF on the weekly perspective. This is the resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, also resistance here, resistance here, and we can see the same level has been tested once as a resistance, and from that level we can expect now AUDCHF to have a bounce, as this is a long-term bearish market. Already the price created a long wick candle, means that we might see further drop on AUDCAD. Now looking at the daily, on the daily perspective, we have seen the price already rejected on the daily time frame from this level, creating series of lower high. So what we see in the past 2 days of trading week, there is a strong red candle followed by a long wick daily candle, both looks like bearish. Now what we could see in the new trading week, we might see even a meltdown from here to the downside, or after a little rising up we could see that AUDCAD is coming back down. Now if we look at the intraday perspective, what we can see that on the 4-hour time frame, AUDCAD has created the price action which is also highly bearish. If you closely look at, we see already there is a reversal pattern here, you can see, and the price has broken down from this level on the 4-hour, has gone up, tested properly this previous support zone here, along this zone, previous support tested as a resistance, and from this resistance level we see that AUDCAD started to drop. Now from this zone, what we can expect now, AUDCAD to give us some kind of retracement to the upside, and with that level we can expect a rejection to the downside, maintaining a trend line along this zone on AUDCAD. And as soon as we will find that suitable trading opportunity, we'll consider shorting AUDCAD from this zone with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at AUDNZD, starting with the monthly time frame again. Now AUDNZD, as you can see, this is a strongly now bearish market on the monthly perspective. After the previous monthly bearish candle, this month, as soon as market open, we have seen a very strong rejection to the downside. Now if you look at the overall market structure, a bigger picture, we see that AUDNZD, in fact this is a long-term bear market. If you closely look at the top of the candles, we see that AUDNZD creating series of lower high. Now what you see that this is quite a few months strong move to the upside, which in fact a strong liquidity grab on the monthly perspective. Now from that resistance level, we have seen a very strong vertical move to the downside on AUDNZD. At this point, where we can expect this price to come back. Now if you closely look at this resistance here on the monthly, which is turning support, now we can expect at least a retest of this previous resistance zone, which is turning support, and from here we could see a bounce, or even we could see a penetration. So that means AUDNZD currently on the monthly perspective is bearish. Now looking at the weekly, on the weekly time frame, as you can see, the price strongly bearish. Every week the price was creating series of lower high and lower low. Previous week created this narrow doji. Now this week, as soon as market open, retested the upper wick, created a lower high on the weekly perspective, and then has strongly dropped to the downside. Now this is the weekly candle. Now what we can expect on AUDNZD is the price to respect this previous support zone here, which is turning resistance, and from that level we can expect another drop on AUDNZD to this weekly or monthly level of support zone. Now looking at daily time frame, what we see that AUDNZD already has created a nice looking trending market structure. There is a strong movement correction to the 20 EMA, respected it, and then created this move again penetrated 20 EMA, respected, and we see that AUDNZD is breaking down again. So this is a nice looking bearish price action. So where we can expect to trade AUDNZD? If we look at the intraday perspective, what we are expecting on AUDNZD, as you can see, already double doji has been created last session of the trading week. But what I think that AUDNZD will give us a kind of retracement which is needed for this kind of market, and as soon as we'll see AUDNZD has retraced to this 20 EMA, which is the previous support zone here, turning resistance, at that point we'll consider shorting AUDNZD to this level with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at Aussie yen. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have. Now looking at monthly on Aussie yen, in the same way we see that Aussie yen just on the monthly time frame, it's now a sideways market. Over the long term it was a bullish market, but we see that a couple of months Aussie yen is just moving in a sideways, consolidating. Now at this point, where we can expect this market to move? Now you see that this is the monthly candle which is not fully developed, either it is going up or down. So let's look at weekly time frame to see possible direction. Now on the weekly perspective, we see that Aussie yen has created a candle that is bearish. If you look at it's in fact an inside bar which has a bearish bias. If you look at the top of this weekly candle, you see that every week the price was creating series of lower high. So what we can expect on Aussie yen is the price to respect the resistance and then to come back down again. It is highly likely that Aussie yen might create another bearish candle to the downside after it testing the top of this trend line. Now if you look at the daily time frame, we see that Aussie yen on the daily perspective. Let's draw this trend line on the daily time frame and we'll see that Aussie yen highly likely that the price might respect the top of this trend line and then could continue to drop as we see that bearish price action on the lower time frame. Now at the same time, if you closely look at this daily doji, we see that it has already crossed the previous day's high, couple of pips, that giving us a possibility for further drop, and it has already grabbed liquidity multiple times with this long daily doji, including this one, preparing for a strong bearish move. So what we can expect on AUDNZD on the intraday perspective is for the price to go up and test this resistance level, which we can adjust for this level, and from that zone what we can expect AUDJPY is to respect this resistance and then to continue to drop. So as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity along this zone on Aussie yen, we'll consider shorting Aussie yen with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at CADCHF, starting with the monthly time frame to see the bigger picture. Now we see that CADCHF on the monthly perspective, this is the monthly candle, this is the last week of the month, and what we see that the price came back down, penetrated this important level of support zone, and from that support what we have seen that there is a strong bounce to the upside on CADCHF. Now what we can expect with that bounce, we could potentially see further rise on this market. As you have seen, the price already grabbed liquidity on the monthly. We can expect now the price to push to the upside. Looking at the weekly time frame, what we have seen that the price already opened with a gap on the weekly and closed as a narrow candle after this big drop. What I think that CADCHF is likely to go up further. As you can see, the price already crossed that support but closed back above support, means the price, the market is still, sellers couldn't break this level of support. We might see further move to the upside on CADCHF. So with that being said, let's look at the daily time frame, how it is doing. On the daily perspective, if you closely look at, you see that the price already created a rejection from the bottom, creating a double bottom, has broken up with this green candle followed by a doji on the daily. What I think that the price in the new trading week might come down little further, around half of the daily doji, and from this zone we could see that CADCHF is going up. Probably will test this daily 20 MA and then we could see another drop to the downside. Now looking at intraday perspective, what we are seeing that CADCHF in fact now above this previous neckline, which is the previous resistance here, turning support. Now what we can expect on the new trading week, the price to come back a little bit down, probably to retest this level and then to create another bullish move to the upside. So as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity along this zone, we will consider going long on CADCHF with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at DXY. Now DXY is very important as this will give us a clear direction about the dollar pairs. So let's look at closely how DXY is performing. Now looking at the monthly time frame on DXY, what we see that DXY on the monthly perspective, this market was dropping strongly. Now at this point on the monthly, we could potentially see a little deeper retracement in this instrument. As you can see, there is a narrow doji on the monthly here. In this big move to the downside, price primarily has been tested almost there, and then we have seen that primarily rejecting to the upside. What I think that DXY is going to do is the price highly likely that this week will rise up again before monthly close, and afterwards we might see further change. But for this week, we could see further push to the upside as the price started to reject from here, as it is a long-term bull market on the higher time frame. Now looking at the weekly, this is the weekly candle on DXY. In fact, it has been rejected from this very important level, which is weekly resistance here, support here, and also acting here as a support, created a higher low on the weekly time frame and created this narrow doji. What I think that as it has created a narrow doji on DXY, highly likely that this price will respect this support zone where there is weekly opening and close, and from that level we might see another push to the upside on DXY. Probably we'll see a monthly close somewhere here. So that means that this week we could see a strength in dollar. Now looking at the daily time frame, we see the price already creating a reversal pattern. Primarily it has grabbed liquidity once. So when you see a strong move like that and kind of pattern that is reversal, already grabbed the liquidity, we can expect this price to go up at least to test this previous support zone, which is turning resistance. Now if you draw this previous support zone here on DXY, what we see that this is the support here, and support here, which is turning resistance with this 20 MA, and from that level we can expect another drop. So with that being said, what we can expect now, DXY to test this previous support zone here, which is turning resistance, and we can expect this week a bullish move to the upside to test this level. Now if you look at the intraday perspective on the lower time frame, we see that there is already a reversal pattern has been developed. What we see that the price has created this reversal pattern here, which is in fact creating a bullish pattern. If you closely look at, every time the price was creating series of higher low, and on this series of higher low, what we see that the price respecting this resistance zone. So that means that the price is putting pressure on it, and we can expect now a breakout of this level at some point. So what we could see in the new trading week, a spike down to this level, and then from here we might see that DXY is pushing to the upside. So with that being said, from this zone we'll consider going long as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity on DXY. Now let's look at EURGBP. Looking at the monthly time frame, we see that EURGBP on the monthly perspective, this is an inside bar with that previous monthly bearish candle. This month also we see that the price primarily open, respected the low of the monthly doji, and also respected the high of the monthly candle. In the first week we saw an uprise, in the third week we saw a drop, and what I think that the last week also we could see further drop, and probably we'll see the monthly close somewhere here as a narrow doji. So with that being said, this week we could see EURGBP is dropping. Now if you closely look at, after this bullish engulfer, it created this narrow doji. The price respected the resistance of this weekly doji, if you closely look at, and from that level we see that EURGBP started to drop. Now this is the weekly candle, which is red and narrow. Now what we can expect in the new trading week, the price to continue to drop further. Highly likely that this weekly candle will come back to this level of support zone here, and from that support we can expect a bounce or even penetration. So with that being said, on the weekly perspective we can expect a drop on EURGBP. Now looking at the daily time frame, we see that the price created a pattern that is a head and shoulder here, and that has broken down, but at the same time we see there is a double bottom here. So reversal pattern to the downside and upside. So what we could see, EURGBP, highly likely that this price is coming back down again to this daily neckline where there is a previous resistance zone which is turning support, and from that resistance turning support we can expect a bullish move on Euro GBP. Now if we look at the intraday perspective, what we can expect Euro GBP, as you can see this price already has broken to the downside, and as if you draw this previous support zone here on Euro GBP which is turning resistance, what we can expect Euro GBP to go up and test this support again as a resistance, and then to have a bounce to this level. So as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity on Euro GBP along this zone, we will consider going short with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at EURJPY, starting again with the monthly time frame. Now EURJPY on the monthly, this is a long-term bull market. There is no question about it. As you can see, the market structure is highly bullish. Every month the price was creating series of higher high and higher low. So we have seen there is a middleman in this move on the if you look at recent time frame, followed by a bullish candle. Now this month the price came to this very crucial level, which is a very important previous resistance zone which is turning support, and from that level we have seen a very strong bounce to the upside on the monthly. As because this is a long-term bull market, we still can expect in the last week of the month the price to continue to rise. So with that being said, looking at the weekly, this is the weekly candle, we see that which is a bullish candle. Now when we can expect the price to have a bullish move, as you can see the price is here. What you could see on EURJPY on opening to test the top of the doji, come back down, and then we could see a bullish move. This could be the wave for EURJPY. Now if you look at the daily time frame, what we have seen that EURJPY already created this dynamic resistance that is broken completely, and with that breakout what we could see EURJPY as we have seen on the weekly perspective, the price will go up, will break down, highly likely to test the trend line of this daily, as you can see, which is the weekly trend line, and from that zone we could see potential bullish setup. So let's look at intraday perspective how we can relate this information. If you closely look at on the intraday, the price is moving in a sideways. What I think that EURJPY is highly likely to do, if you look at all this long week candle, at some point we could see a spike down on EURJPY, and from that zone we could see that EURJPY is creating a bullish pattern, and as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity on EURJPY, we'll consider going long with a high probability trade setup with our students. Okay, let's look at GBPUSD. Starting with first of all monthly time frame. What do we see that GBPUSD, this is a long-term bearish market. As you can see, every month the price was creating series of lower high and lower low. This is a long-term bearish market. But if you closely look at the recent time frame, what we have seen that GBPUSD in the recent time frame from this level has a strong bounce to the upside. Now with that bounce, this is the current monthly candle. What we have seen that primarily the price is rejecting from this level. What we could see, this is the last week of the month. Initially we might see GBPUSD is coming back down again, and then we might see again the price is going up and monthly close somewhere here. So if we look at that on the weekly, what we have seen on the weekly perspective, there is a long bullish candle followed by a doji. So when you see this kind of long bullish candle followed by a doji, in fact it's a continuation pattern. But at the same time, if you look at the overall picture, this is a bearish market. So what likely to happen, what I think that GBPUSD is going to do is it could break this weekly low to the downside and testing this narrow green red candle from this previous resistance or this one turning support, and then we might see another bullish move, and we could see a weekly close as a bullish candle or red candle, but above breaking this low and then going up. So with that said, let's look at the daily time frame to see how it is reflecting. If you closely look at, you'll see that the price already has broken out of this daily resistance zone. If you draw this level, what we see that GBPUSD has created this previous resistance zone, which is turning support zone here, Now at the same time, this level is merging with daily 20 EMA. Now if you closely look at also on the daily, there is a strong rejection zone here, back to back 3 days rejection from this level. Now what we can expect on GBPUSD is for the price to primarily break to the downside to test this previous resistance zone, which is turning support, and from here we might see that GBPUSD is again creating a bullish move. So if we look at on the intraday perspective, what we will be doing is we'll be waiting for a potential. As you can see on the intraday as well, the price action, there is a liquidity gap here on the 4 hour, and the price tried to break this high, but looks like that the bulls are not getting enough fuel. Instead they are creating again bearish price action from this resistance level. What I think that GBPUSD highly likely that now will drop to this level where there is a previous resistance zone which is turning support, and then will create its bullish move again. So with that being said, as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity for potential shorting on GBPUSD, we'll consider going short with a high probability trade setup with our students. At the same time, when we'll see during the week or at the end of the week GBPUSD creating another bullish price action from this zone, we'll consider going long with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at GBPJPY, again monthly time frame. Now GBPJPY on the monthly perspective, this is a long term again bull market. The previous month, 2 months earlier, as you have seen, there is a long week monthly doji. If you draw this level of support here, you see that this doji has a strong rejection, which is a very powerful doji, followed by this green candle which is also bullish. Now this month the price came to this important level, and we see that it is now rejecting. This is the last week of the month. What I think that this price is likely to go up further to close above this long week on the monthly perspective. Now looking at the weekly, this is what exactly expected in my previous weekly forex forecast. You have seen that the price created on the weekly this move correction. Now it is creating another bullish move. So then how we can find trading opportunity? If we take our Fibonacci on the weekly, also we see that this price has retraced satisfactorily 61.8% Fibonacci, and then rejecting means that Fibonacci is completed. So we can expect now GBPJPY to create another bullish move. Now looking at the daily, if you closely look at on the daily, we see that this price action has broken this daily resistance level and closing above this resistance. What we can expect in the new trading week? As you can see, this daily candle, highly likely that the price will come back again to test this previous resistance zone here, which is turning support, as this resistance has not been tested properly. Now if you look at the intraday perspective on the 4 hour, what we see that GBPJPY already has grabbed liquidity from this level and created this pattern. What we could see initially, we might see a spike down during the news or any other time along this trend line, and from that zone we could potentially see that GBPJPY is creating a strong bullish price action, and this is the zone that we will be waiting for a potential bullish setup on GBPJPY with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at NZDCAD, starting with monthly time frame. Now what do you see that NZDCAD on the monthly perspective? If you closely look at this is a long-term bearish market. There is a strong monthly drop followed by back-to-back 2 months strong rejection again to the upside. And if you closely look, there is a very important strong support zone is coming, which is turning resistance with this 20 EMA, and this is the monthly candle. What we could see in the upcoming week that NZDCAD is even going up further to test this resistance, and from here highly likely that we'll see a bounce. Now looking at weekly, if you closely look at, there is a very strong weekly momentum to the upside with this previous resistance zone, which is turning support, and we see this is the support zone here on the weekly perspective, which is turning resistance. Now what we could see in the new trading week, we could see another wave to the upside testing this very important level, and we could see a strong rejection from that zone. So with that being said, let's look at daily. Now daily perspective, this is also a bullish market structure with an inverted head and shoulder, has broken out, creating series of higher high and higher low. So what we can expect on NZDCAD, the price, this is the daily candle. As you can see, it's a bullish candle. After a little retracement, we might see another push to the upside on NZDCAD. If we look at the intraday perspective, what we might see that NZDCAD, we see that the previous resistance zone here, which is quite a few dodges and resistance, which is turning support, and from this level we can expect NZDCAD to create a bullish price action. So along those zone, as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity, we'll consider going long on NZDCAD with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at NZDJPY, starting with monthly. Now this is the monthly price action, NZDJPY. You see that there is a previous month, there is a very strong full body green bullish candle. This month the price came half of this bullish candle and now strongly rejecting. Highly likely that this price, after monthly testing the monthly opening and close, we might see another push to the upside on this price action. So that means that this week we could see NZDJPY is going up. Now looking at this price action on the weekly, which is also a very strongly bullish, you can see every week this impulse correction. Now this green candle is in fact a bullish candle, which is highly bullish. Highly likely that after opening, even with retracement or without retracement, NZDJPY is going up. As you can see, this price action triangular pattern after this bullish move is a bullish price action, and already the price grabbed liquidity from the bottom, so it is preparing for a rise. Looking at the daily, we see that on the daily perspective as well, there is a doji which has enough liquidity in it, which in fact crossed 2 days low, which is a very strong bullish price action. Now what we can expect in the new trading week, after opening the market, we could see a little retracement, highly likely that top of this doji, and then we might see a strong push to the upside on NZDJPY. So looking at intraday perspective, this is what I will be waiting. Even we could see a gap opening and then rise. So as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity on NZDJPY along this zone, we will consider going long with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at gold. As you have seen that gold was incredible. This is what exactly expected in all my analysis and in all my weekly forex forecast. Gold to create a bullish move, it did. Now let's look at monthly perspective to see. Now if you closely look at, this is the monthly impulse on gold. This is a long-term bearish market, created this big impulsive move to the downside, followed by this current month what we have seen, a significant retracement. This is what exactly expected. If we take our Fibonacci for this monthly move, what we can see that gold starting from here to the end of the move, we see exactly it retraced 38.2% Fibonacci level and then has been rejected. Now let's take it out. What we could see next on gold is this current week, initially we could see a drop and then rise at the end. So if we draw this level here with that zone, this is the previous resistance zone which is turning support. What I think that in the beginning of the week, gold will drop and then it will rise again to certain level to complete that movement to the upside. So looking at the weekly, as you can see on the weekly perspective, we have seen already a rejection. Now this is a long-term bearish market. As you can see, this is the resistance zone here. So what we could see on gold, highly likely that the price will initially come back down to test this previous resistance zone, which is turning support here. And if we take our also Fibonacci for our weekly move, this is a big move on the weekly. From starting of this move to the end of the move, we see that there is a 38.2% Fibonacci level also aligning with this previous resistance zone, which is turning support. Let's draw both of them and then we'll see in fact where we can expect now in the first move gold to come. What I think that gold is likely to do, first coming back down to this level and then pushing to the upside again, closing as either as a doji or as a bearish candle. So looking at daily, we see that last 3 days we have seen a rejection from the top, this price action, and at the same time, if you closely look at, you'll see that gold created a resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, which is turning support, and at the same time the same level is acting with this daily 20 EMA. From this level we can expect a bullish move to the upside on gold. Now if we look at the intraday perspective, what we can expect on gold is that you see the price already on the 4 hour has created a head and shoulder, which is highly likely that the price will reverse from that zone. Now where we can expect potential bearish setup on gold, if we draw this trend line properly, we see that gold already has created which is previous resistance here, turning support here, which will be acting here as a resistance, and from that zone we can expect a rejection to this level or even rejection to this level. So with that being said, this is the zone that we will be actively waiting for a potential bearish setup on gold. As soon as we will find, we'll consider going short on gold with a high probability trade setup with our students. If you want to trade gold and all other instruments that we are trading incredibly every day and every week in Forex Trading Wizard Academy, you can find a link in the description area. You can visit the website. There is a discount going on, a great time to join, to learn and also trade with us in Forex Trading Wizard Academy. So now let's begin with NZDUSD. Like all other USD pair, on NZDUSD, looking at the monthly, we see that the price already reached this monthly resistance zone, and this week what I think that the price might initially come back down and then will go up again. Looking at the weekly, we see that on the weekly, after this big move, the price created a narrow doji. Now after this kind of doji, what we can expect, that highly likely that the price will break this doji to the downside, and then we could see a rise, or we could see another doji or another bullish candle in this level, closing as a monthly bullish candle. Now looking at daily, we see that like all other USD pairs, NZDUSD also has created a structure here. Now as you can see, the price already rejecting from the top, highly likely that this price will come back down again, which as like all other USD pairs, and we could see potentially that NZDUSD is testing this previous resistance zone, which is turning support. If you closely look at, there is a support here which is turning here as a resistance and also turning here as a support, with this 20 EMA combining on the daily perspective. From after testing this, we might see that NZDUSD again pushing to the upside. So if we look at the intraday perspective, we can expect NZDUSD now come back to this level, and from that zone along this trend line, highly likely that we'll find potential bullish setup on NZDUSD. Now as soon as we will find that, we'll consider going long with a high probability trade setup. On the other hand, if we see a strong bearish setup along this zone, we'll consider shorting NZDUSD with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at USDCAD again with monthly time frame. Now on the monthly perspective, we see that USDCAD, there is a very strong drop on the monthly, tested this previous resistance zone, which is turning support. If we draw this level, we see that this is the previous resistance zone, which is turning support, and from that level what we could see that USDCAD again pushing high and then coming back down. So if we look at the weekly perspective, we see that the price already has created a narrow weekly doji, which is a bullish price action. After this strong drop, what we have seen that USDCAD has created a rejection from the bottom. So what we could see initially on USDCAD, I think that it will go up and then will come back down like all other USD pairs. Now looking at the daily, what we could see on the daily perspective on USDCAD, if you closely look at, you see that the price already broke this previous support zone, which is turning resistance here. Now at the same time, we see there is a strong rejection on the daily time frame to the downside. The price is approaching this level. What I think that in the new trading week, USDCAD will go up to test this zone. Probably will test this previous resistance zone, which is turning resistance again, and also this 20 EMA, and from that level we could see a rejection to the downside. So with that said, let's look at the intraday perspective. Now what we could see, as you can see, already we have seen a bullish move started on USDCAD with this big impulse correction. It is creating another impulsive move to the upside. So what we will be doing on the new trading week, if I see that USDCAD is along this zone, along this 4-hour 20 EMA, creating a bullish price action, we'll consider going long on USDCAD with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at dollar Swiss franc, how it is doing. Now what we could see, dollar Swiss franc, as you can see that dollar CHF also started to create some bullish move, which is highly likely that it's a long-term retracement. Now if you look at monthly perspective, USDCHF on the monthly, we see that the price came to this very important monthly level of support, and from that support penetrated this support, grabbed liquidity, now started to push to the upside. USDCHF, this is a highly now starting after this strong drop, now it is creating some bullish move. Now looking at weekly, what we see that there is a weekly bullish candle, which is in fact penetrated this level of support, grabbed liquidity, and then started to push up. So what we could see, this candle initially highly likely that this price will go up initially, and then later we could see coming back down. So with that said, let's look at on the daily how it is doing. Now on the daily perspective, we see that after this pattern here, we see the price started to blow to the upside. Now as you can see, there's a daily 20 EMA coming, which is a very important zone, and also on the daily perspective we see that this level, which is crucially important for USDCHF, this level in the past acted here as a resistance here, and also turning as support. Highly likely the price will go up and test this level, and then could come back down again from this zone. So if we look at the intraday perspective, we see that the price started a bullish move on the 4-hour time frame. There is an impulse correction. Now the price is creating impulsive series of higher high and higher low. So with that said, what we will wait in the new trading week, the price to break down again to test this previous resistance zone, which is turning support, giving us a potential bullish setup. As soon as we will find that, we will consider going long on USDCHF with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at dollar yen, starting with monthly again. Now dollar yen on the monthly perspective, this is a long-term bullish market, as you can see that, and this is monthly candle. If you look at overall picture, this is a very strongly bullish market. This current monthly candle already penetrated 2 monthly candles low, grab the liquidity from this very important zone, and now we see that dollar yen is going to the upside. If we look at the weekly perspective, we see that dollar yen in fact created a very long, very narrow bullish candle. Closely look at, you will see the dollar yen respecting this trend line on the weekly, and highly likely that we will see a bullish move from this level. Looking at the daily, the price already creating a movement that is primarily bullish on the lower time frame. Now what you see, the dollar yen in fact broken this daily level of support, and from that daily level of support we have seen the price has broken to the downside. What we are expecting on dollar yen is for the price to from this level to create a bullish move and to go up and test this daily 20 EMA, which is highly likely to happen, which is also previous support zone here. If you closely look at support zone, which is turning resistance in this level. Now if you look at the intraday perspective, this is what I will be waiting for, a potential bullish setup on dollar yen. We need to see another spike down, a long wick candle along this zone. As soon as we will find that, we'll consider going long on dollar yen with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at USDZAR. Now looking at monthly, first of all, we see that USDZAR on the monthly perspective, this was a long-term bull market. Now what we see that USDZAR this month has a very strong rejection, which is very healthy in a trending market. It needs a proper retracement. If you look at a Fibonacci level, what do you see that from this starting of the move to the end of the move, what do you see that Fibonacci is 38.2% Fibonacci level currently, and we could see the price probably will come back even to 50% Fibonacci level, and then we could see that the price is rejecting. At the same time, as you can see, there is another monthly support zone here. It is also possible that USDZAR to bounce from this monthly level of support. Now, looking at weekly, what we see that USDZAR has created in the monthly level of support, which is the resistance here, turning support, created a narrow doji, which is looks like that it's going to be a bullish pattern. Now at the same time, if you closely look at, you see that there is already a doji here. It's creating a head and shoulder with the doji. So what we will be waiting for a potential another rejection to the upside. Highly likely that we'll see this week also a doji, which highly likely that it will be bullish doji and completing a monthly close around this zone. Now looking at daily, what we see that USDZAR already creating first of all, it grabbed liquidity from the bottom, has gone up, grabbed liquidity from the top, now creating a bearish price action. So this is a crucially important to see how it is reacting. It could be that USDZAR just to continue to drop, as already on the daily there is a red candle has been created. On the other hand, it is possible for USDZAR to go up again to test this 20 EMA. So based on intraday time frame, on the 4-hour time frame, how it is doing with this support zone, what we will be doing on USDZAR, either in this level, we'll consider as soon as we'll see strong rejection from this bottom, we'll consider going long, or if we see USDZAR has broken this support completely to the downside, in that case, on the retest of this support as resistance, we'll consider going short based on current time price action. And I'll keep you updated during the week wherever you are following me. Now let's look at USDSGD, starting with monthly again. Now you can see that USDSGD on the monthly perspective, it has penetrated this monthly level of support zone completely. If you closely look at, you see that the price already has broken back to back quite a few monthly low and then rejected. Because it has grabbed liquidity, we might see a further push to the upside this week on USDZAR. Looking at the weekly, we have seen that there is already a weekly narrow doji has been created. Now with that weekly narrow doji, what we have seen that USDZAR, this is the previous support zone here, okay, so the support zone here, and also there is a penetration of this support, and from that penetration, what we could see that USDZAR, USDSGD, pardon me, USDSGD highly likely that will continue to go up. So looking at daily, what you could see that on the daily perspective, you see there is a strong move. The price is consolidating in this level. What I think that the price from this level of support, we might see further push to the upside. Highly likely that this price will test this previous support zone, which is turning resistance with this daily 20 MA, and from that level we might see that USDSGD is rejecting. Now on the intraday perspective, this is what we will be waiting for, a potential setup on USDSGD. Highly likely that after creating a false breakout to this level, creating probably a long wick candle along this zone, we'll consider going long on USDSGD with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at US oil, how it is doing. Now looking at the monthly perspective on US oil, we see that US oil on the monthly has done exactly as it is. You have seen during the week the analysis in the live streaming. So what we have seen that on the monthly, the price primarily has broken the monthly high, has broken this very important monthly support, now primarily rejected. What I think that US oil this week we might see a little push to the upside. Now looking at the weekly, we have seen that there is a long wick candle which in fact created a very strong penetration, and then we have seen that the price is rejecting to the upside. If you closely look at this, you see there is a long narrow red candle. If you draw a level of support here which turning resistance, what I think that this week we might see a doji. Even after testing this level, we might see a rejection to the downside on US oil. Now looking at daily time frame, if you look at daily, we see that the price already broken this level, and because there is no significant level of, as you can see, there is no significant movement in this direction, highly likely that US oil will respect this support and will continue to go up. So we might see around along this long wick candle from this level, or even after testing some part of this level, we could see that US oil is going to the upside. So if we look at intraday perspective, we see already a narrow doji has been created last session, highly likely that the price will respect this doji and will continue to go up. What I think that after opening of the market, after little retracement, we could see that US oil is pushing to the upside. So with that being said, as soon as we will find suitable entry opportunity on US oil along this zone, we will consider going long on US oil with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at indices, starting with US30. Looking at monthly first of all. Now you can see that US30 on the monthly perspective, previous months created a very strong bullish engulfer. Now with that strong bullish engulfer, in most cases you'll see that associated or followed by a doji, which is creating US30. As you can see that it is already forming a doji. Now this is the last week of the month and the price is in a monthly resistance zone. What we could see that US30, after little retracement, we could see the price further coming back down, probably will close even as a monthly doji somewhere here. So with that said, this week we might see initially a drop on US oil. Now looking at the weekly, what we have seen that on the weekly perspective, US oil, as you can see, there is a narrow doji, and along this zone we have seen another doji. What I think that US oil is likely to do, as the market will open here after testing the high, we might see another drop and probably will create even another weekly doji, something like that, which will give us a monthly doji. That means the bias is to the downside. Now looking at the daily, if you closely look at the price, is bulls trying to pushing the price high, but what we have seen that already the price is consolidating in a sideways. What I think that after little push, we could see US oil coming back down, highly likely that it might come back to this 20 EMA zone on the daily perspective, and from that level either we'll see the price is closing here on the weekly and monthly, or we could see further rise from this level, as this 20 EMA on the daily has not been tested yet. Now on the intraday perspective, so this is what I will be expecting on US30, is for the price to go up and give us a potential bearish setup. We need a strong bearish setup for potential shorting. As soon as we will find US30 is giving us a bearish setup, after probably a false breakout of rejection, we'll consider shorting with a high probability trade setup with our students. Okay guys, so let's look at NAS 100. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have this week. So NAS 100 starting with monthly time frame. Now if you look at monthly, you see that there was a strong rejection from the top on the monthly. This is an impulse on the monthly time frame, followed by back-to-back 2 months. We have seen a retracement. Now this is also a retracement candle on the monthly perspective. Now as you can see, this is the last week of the month, but what we have seen that the price still didn't create much effort from the buyer's perspective. What we could see this week, NAS 100, after little retracement, we could see that it is dropping again. So with that being said, let's look at the weekly time frame. Now on the weekly perspective, what we have seen that NAS 100, if you closely look at that, there is a strong bullish candle followed by this red doji, which rejected from the top, also from this previous support zone, which turned resistance here. What I think that NAS 100 is likely to do, after little retracement to the upside, we could see another drop to the downside on the weekly perspective as well. Now looking at daily, what you see that on the daily time frame, there is a strong bullish move happen, and you can see that this pattern is creating for further drop. We highly likely that the price will come back to this previous resistance zone on the double top on the daily time frame. This is a double bottom formation, and then has broken to the upside. With that double bottom, the price left this neckline, which is turning support in this move. Highly likely that NAS 100 after little retracement will come back down to test this level, which is also previous resistance turning support with respect to this 20 EMA, and from that zone we could potentially see a bullish move. So if you draw this even trend line, highly likely that the price will come back to this level and then will go up. If you look at this daily candle, you see that the price already grabbed liquidity once from here, and from that zone highly likely it will drop. So if we look at intraday perspective, what you could see that NAS 100 is, you can see there is a left gap has been left here, and initially we might see a rise on NAS 100, and from that level we could see that it is coming back down, as this is the weekly resistance zone, and this is the zone that we will be waiting for a potential bearish setup on NAS 100 to this level. As soon as you see the price came to the zone and giving us a potential bullish price action, we will consider going long from this zone with a high probability trade setup with our students. Now let's look at cryptocurrencies. Let's look at how BTCUSD and Ethereum USD is doing. Looking at monthly BTC, as you can see, this is what exactly expected in all my analysis. As you have seen, finally BTCUSD has broken this very strong monthly level of support zone. This is the monthly candle, which is still this is the last week. Upcoming week is the monthly perspective. We see that as the monthly support is broken, we could see after little retracement further drop on BTC USD. Now looking at weekly, this is the weekly candle, which is closing after 1.5 days. What do you see that on the weekly perspective, the price has broken down with this strong rejection followed by a narrow candle, is a sign of the buyers are very weak in the market. Now if you look at the previous support zone on the weekly, this is a very important level of support, which is turning resistance. What I think that upon closing of this candle, we could see that BTCUSD is going up, test this previous support zone, which is turning resistance, and from that level we can see a rejection to the downside on BTCUSD. Now if you look at daily time frame, we see that this level is aligning with the daily 20 EMA zone in this level, which is also previous support zone here, which is turning resistance. Now what we can expect now, BTCUSD, for the price to go up to test this zone, which is the daily 20 EMA, and also previous support zone, which is turning resistance. From that level we will consider going short on BTCUSD as soon as we will find opportunity with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at Ethereum USD. Now what do you see that Ethereum USD and BTCUSD are almost following each other. Now looking at monthly perspective, what do you see that on the monthly, Ethereum USD as well has created a very strong bearish price action. Monthly, there is a very strong impulse on the monthly time frame. With that impulse, the price has created a pattern that is also bearish. There is a strong bearish engulfer. Now this is the monthly candle, which is breaking to the downside. Highly likely that this price will continue to drop. Now looking at weekly, we see that Ethereum USD already creating a level of support zone here on the weekly perspective, which is the previous support zone here, which is turning resistance, and from that zone we can expect a rejection to the downside on Ethereum USD. Now if we look at closely, we see that it has already created a resistance zone here, which is broken, also support broken. This is the weekly candle, which is narrow doji. Highly likely that the price will break this weekly high and then will continue to drop. Now if we look at the daily, we see this price action strongly bearish, but we could see a spike to the upside on the daily to test this daily 20 EMA, and from that level we could see that Ethereum USD is coming back down. So with that being said, we will be waiting for a potential bearish setup on Ethereum USD from this level with a high probability trade setup. Guys, these are the indices, cryptos and forex currency pairs that we will be looking to trade next week. In addition to this, any other pairs, all of them will be in our watch. As soon as you will find any new opportunity, I will keep you update wherever you are following me. Make sure you smash the like button and also subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out any of the updates that I am releasing every day, including the live streaming. In the meantime, if you want to learn our strategy and also join us in Forex Trading Wizard Academy to become an independent, profitable, professional trader, you can find a link in the description area. There is a discount going on. You can join us. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon in my next analysis.